ShotgunLlama.
Hello YouTube, thank you for clicking and welcome to ShotgunLlama. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be reading a creepypasta. Now you may have noticed that the story I'm about to read to you has appeared on r/nosleep on Reddit. Well, I am the one who posted it there, and I will link to it in the description. Without further ado, let's get on with reading The Mice in the Morning. It's been about 2 years now since I got my pet cat, and ever since then, nearly every morning I'd find a dead mouse by my front door. While this was a little disturbing, I thought nothing of it. After all, cats can be known to leave presents like this. At first, it was only a little annoying, I'll admit, having to clean up the body almost every day, but eventually I just got used to it. After all, I did have a cat, and she did spend most of her time outside. What was strange was the sheer number they showed up in. Sure, only one showed up each day, but it's been almost 2 years now. That's over 600 mice. I honestly have no idea where they came from. I guess the secret of Nim took place under my house. At one point I thought that maybe she'd stop if I just left the mice there, but she didn't. They just kept piling up on my doorstep until there was nearly a dozen of them, and by then I decided to start getting rid of them again. I always thought it was a little strange how the mice never appeared to be eaten at all. I know cats leave presents like these for their owners, but given how many showed up, I figured she must have been killing and presenting every single mouse in the area. It was strange that she'd never eat one. Their bodies were never warm, but also never there in the evening, so I knew that they must have been killed sometime during the night. In fact, if I ever happened to be awake at night, for any reason, at around 1 o'clock in the morning, I could sometimes hear a scratching or hissing noise coming from outside my house. It would last only for a few minutes maybe, until the predator finds and kills his prey, which of course always ended up as a side dish to my morning newspaper. Anyway, last night I woke up at around 2 o'clock a.m., needing to use the bathroom. This was during Passover. This means I was eating a lot of matzah, and if you don't know what that is, it's essentially the gastrointestinal equivalent of bakelite. In my one-story house, it was a pretty short trip to reach the crapper. What was strange was that, on my way there, I didn't hear any of those cat sounds I usually do. But those usually happen earlier in the morning anyway. Once I reached the bathroom, it felt a little cold inside. I checked the window, and sure enough, I had accidentally left it opened. I closed it. Right when the window closed, though, I started hearing sounds coming from outside. At first, they were just the normal cat sounds, hissing, scratching, whatever. During my prolonged trip, that sound slowly but steadily got louder and louder. After a little while, I thought I couldn't make out troubled breathing in those sounds. I wanted to leave, but, well, I stayed for the sake of my pants' well-being. It kept getting louder and louder until it just wasn't the sound I was used to at all. While before, I heard a loudmouthed cat who didn't understand what stealth meant. It sounded nothing like any animal could produce. It was as though a circular saw were cutting through rusted metal, squealing and screaming, fluctuating a bit in its strength every now and then. I couldn't think of where this could possibly come from. None of my neighbors have outdoor workshops, and I've never seen them using any such tools before. Even if they did, why would they be cutting anything at this hour? It was faint by comparison, but I'm pretty sure I heard what sounded like screaming. Not like any scream from an animal, but rather from a person. The sound got louder until I was sure what I heard mixed in was a scream. It sounded like an infant crying, but not a usual baby's cry. It sounded painful and traumatic. This triggered some sort of reflex in me, and, well, my trip to the bathroom was just about over thanks to it. As I was washing my hands, the sound finally stopped. It didn't decline and stop like the way it had started, it just completely fell silent in a short moment. After that, I could only hear my own heart beating up my throat. Really, it felt like at that point, I may have imagined the whole thing, how silent it was now, although I still felt that something was staring at me. I glanced out the window and saw something just faintly glowing, something out of place. I walked over to it to see what it was, though I wish I hadn't. It was a pair of eyes staring at me. They were white, and while I couldn't make out anything else outside, these eyes were definitely there, perfectly even to mine, even though whatever it was outside. Terror is the only word that defines what I felt at that point. There was something out there, probably making all the terrible noise, and now it's staring straight at me. I couldn't feel anything below my neck when I saw it. It felt like my brain stopped focusing on this thing and just forgot about everything else. Frozen, I stared back at it. There was nothing else I could do. There was an occasional tapping or scratching sound coming from right outside my window, and while its eyes would sometimes blink, they kept their gaze right on me. After what felt like an eternity, I ran out of the room as quickly as I could, but as soon as I turned around, and I swear I mean as soon as I looked away from it, that terrible noise started up again. No build-up to it, it just began. I called 911, telling them that someone was on my property. stalking me and making a very disturbing noise. I don't think I could have said exactly what happened on the phone. They'd probably think I was high or something. About a minute passed after I hung up, and then the noise stopped. I didn't check to see if those eyes were still in the window. I couldn't check. What if they were there, still staring at me? Or what if they went somewhere else, still watching me? But now from somewhere I don't know. When the cops showed up, I told them what happened. This time I gave a bit more detail but left out the screaming part. They said they'd look around my property. I stayed inside and noticed an occasional flashlight shining outside through my window. After a while, they came back to my door and said there was nothing unusual outside. Well, nothing unusual aside from one thing. Somewhere they found a bloodied fur and skin, part of a dead animal, perhaps another mouse. Whatever was there, they said it was gone now. I told them I usually see dead mice outside, and also that I have a cat. I thanked them for coming before they left. Somehow I managed to fall asleep again. This morning I found a dead cat by the front door.